Good Friday, football fans, and welcome to Fast Money Football. Albert Vartanian will join me in a few minutes. He is on absolute fire right now, at my expense, I should say. But I would listen to what Albert has to say because he's winning a lot of money right now. I'll get to the Champions League as well very shortly. But the big news this Friday morning is it's finally happened. I didn't think I'd ever see the day. I guess the end is nigh. The world is coming to its unceremonious conclusion because Sean Dyche has been fired by Burnley with 8 games left, very much in the hunt for survival, a place that Burnley's been in so many times in the 10 years that Dyche has been in charge in the Premier League, where he has every season worked miracles to keep this team up in the Premier League. It's always been good enough for Burnley, but not this year, apparently. No, we can do better, the owners think. They fire Dyche just 2 days before their next game. They could have fired him earlier in the week and given the new crew, who are interim right now, the new crew time to work with the players. But no, they're doing it 2 days before their next game. It's ridiculous. Let's be honest here. What has he done this year that he hasn't done in previous years? I know it's been a poor campaign. Just 4 wins in the campaign. I know they've lost 5 or 6, but it's Burnley. They never spend money. And despite never spending money, Sean Dyche keeps this team up in the Premier League. And who's to say he wouldn't do it again this year? It's just crazy. So if you look at the manager odds, who's going to come in? Well, we can all imagine, right? You can all guess who's a favorite. He's always a favorite this end of the table, Sam Allardyce. And if it's Big Sam, it guess makes sense. A survival expert, he'll be inheriting a team that plays pretty decent defense to start with, a hard-working team, blue collar, a Big Sam type team for sure, but it's not really the point. You know, Sean Dyche is basically Sam Allardyce. I think I just don't understand this at all. It seems really cruel. Other names being mentioned, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I mean, that's just Premier League suicide right there. Even Rafa Benitez is on the list. I mean, that ain't going to happen either. So we'll see what happens next few days. But I just feel really bad for Sean Dyche. I wonder where he's going next. You know, if you look to the Premier League for next season, who's going to be fired? I don't see very many managers being fired in the summertime. If Watford survive, does Roy Hodgson stay there? Could Dyche head to Watford? I don't know. They're a very volatile ownership group. Very few managers last more than 6 months there. Will he get a chance at some point with a bigger club, a more ambitious club? Or is he just now pigeonholed as that manager of Burnley who gets a lot out of not very much? I don't know. I think the best thing he can do is just wait, sit, and see what happens next season. Maybe a move to the Championship this summer is possible as well. But if I'm Sean Dyche, just wait. I think he's a really good manager, and there will be an opportunity at some point by a very progressive thinking club, perhaps. Anyway, enough about Sean Dyche. I'm still very emotional about it. Just feel bad for the guy. Seems a really decent human being. Anyway, the Champions League and the week that was. What a week it was as we get set now for the semi-finals. Real Madrid, they lost to Chelsea 3-2, but Real advance. My observation from this encounter was Chelsea back to their very, very best this week. They were just incredible. And Teemo Werner starts 2 games and looks like he's waking up finally. Looked really dangerous. That bodes really well for Chelsea in the run-in. But listen, it's about Real Madrid, right? They're still calm and they're cool and they're collected. I know they lost a game, but they never looked like they were panicking out there. It was a great game. And as for Luka Modric, my word, where does he rate now, I wonder, in the all-time great midfielder discussion? Is he up there with the Javis, the Zidans of the world? He might be getting there, you know. He's that good. And when I think about Canada playing Croatia this coming November, it terrifies me now because at 36, yeah, he's old, but he's still playing at such a high level. I don't know how you handle Luka Modric. That assist, by the way, that outside of his right boot was a thing of absolute beauty. Real take on Sevilla on Sunday, by the way, in La Liga. They got a 12-point lead. They can focus everything now on the Champions League, where they're going to play Man City, who, I don't know if you saw this game, but it was 0-0 against Atletico Madrid. City prevail 1-0 from the first leg. My observation in this one, Atletico are a bunch of just awful characters. They really are. And they're skillful. They're almost too good for the nonsense that we see them put out week in and week out under Diego Simeone. It was pretty ugly to watch there. But City proved they can also win ugly, which is really important for them. I mean, 0-0 City, you don't see that very often, but they found a way. It really was a terrible game to watch outside the drama. I mean, we're talking ugly. We're talking like John Hurt in The Elephant Man ugly, that ugly. It was awful. And I mean, Stefan Savic, wow. Talk about a villain, a heel. He was just playing really well, but man, the other side to his game for Atletico was just much to see. So City take on Real Madrid now, back to Madrid for the semi-final, and Real have proven they can really hunker down in the Champions League. We saw that against PSG, a team similar to Chelsea. So I do wonder, if they'll do the same in this one. Right now, Real are plus 550 the last time I looked, so that's pretty juicy. I think City should be the favorites, rightly so, but Real, they're savvy. Don't count them out. Villarreal. Wow, Villarreal. Bayern Munich. Villarreal prevail over 2 legs. My observations from this one, Unai Emery is probably the best cup boss in world football. Even Jurgen Klopp said that as he gets set for the semi-final. This guy now has gone 22 straight 2-legged games, 2-legged affairs, but without losing. That's with Villarreal, Sevilla, Arsenal. Remember, he was there for a while there. Now, Bayern Munich aren't great, let's be honest here. And I think it comes down to the fact that they're just untested these days in Germany. They're really close to winning their 10th straight Bundesliga crown. And I think it's shown now on the field against these really good elite European teams, which Villarreal is now. They're an elite European team. So I guess it's a shock, but should we be that surprised given Villarreal's history in knockout tournaments under this guy? Maybe not. Liverpool certainly will not take anything for granted. They took on Benfica 3-3. They advanced 6-4 from both legs. My observation, Benfica have just huge heart. And once again, they're just unearthing these great talents. Darwin Núñez is the hot new thing. Now, Benfica fans, you know all about this guy, of course, but he's probably leaving this summer. So where is he now in the tier of strikers available? Is that second tier? If you got Haaland, Mbappe, and Kane, is Darwin Núñez in the group below there? A bargain, 60, 70, 80 million? Perhaps. He's that good. He's fantastic to watch. And for Uruguay, I mean, my word, with Suarez and Cavani getting older now, you got to think this guy will be stepping into their shoes very shortly. So what an interesting match that was. Gave Benfica a lot of credit, but in the end, the class shone with Liverpool, who were able to rest players ahead of this week's FA Cup encounter against Man City. Says Liverpool against Villarreal. Villarreal at plus 1,000 right now. Still, there's no believers out there. Dangerous. Could be some money to be won there, but let's be honest. Liverpool are better than Bayern Munich. I think that's been proven this season, and we're going to find out how that goes in the semi-finals. But a really compelling week of Champions League football. I cannot wait for these semi-finals. England and Spain bossing Europe once again. All right, Albert, let's bring you in. I'm sure you got the jewels and the bling dripping off you right now. You're so much money because you're just bossing it. Every week you challenge me, I fail, and you rise.
Yeah, this attack and defend has been great, at least for my bank account anyway. I want to go back to Villarreal. They're such an interesting team. Them and Real Madrid are the 2 teams left, obviously City and Liverpool, the other 2, that have a 100% focus on the Champions League. Real pretty much have the La Liga title wrapped up, barring like a crazy collapse. Villarreal, they're not going to finish in the top 4. They're kind of in the mid-table in La Liga. So I feel like when you have teams like that who have 100% focus on one competition, that could give them a slight edge, right?
Yeah, no, I agree to a certain point. I mean, we saw last weekend they made 11 changes in the league so they could rest players. So they'll be really fresh. At the same time, taking your eye off the ball for a couple of weeks, does that take away the edge a team has? Whereas Liverpool, for example, are obviously on all fronts fighting. Every game is so important for them. They're already have that momentum. They're playing with edge. Every game is so important. Every week's a cup final. Are they more prepared for the big game? Or will the complacency that Villarreal is showing in the league cost them? Hasn't done so far, right? Simple as that. And this guy, Unai Emery, as I mentioned there, knows all about how to manage players in cup matches. So I get what you're saying there, but I think given the choice, every player in the world would rather be involved at the pointy end of the table and in all cup competitions and not rested, week in and week out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to figure out reasons why I'm going to back Villarreal to win the Champions League again. So I guess that's not going to be one. But I do have a Real Madrid ticket. I think I backed them before the first leg against Chelsea, plus 1,600 to win the Champions League. I'm like, oh, that's worth a shot. They have one of the best strikers in the world. I think it's probably the end of the road for them and probably Villarreal. It's just the Manchester-Liverpool season. And I think it's going to culminate with them playing each other in the Champions League, which is fantastic.
Yeah, 4 times in the season, that would be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, more than that, actually, because they can. Yeah, I know. It's kind of the way it feels it should be this season, the way they're both playing. Let's wrap up the league, FA Cup semi-finals. Let's also do it one more time with the Champions League and see what happens. I mean, how amazing would that be?
Okay, for attack and defend, then let's start there. Let's start with Liverpool and Manchester City in the FA Cup semi-final. I'm back in the draw. So it started off at plus 220, James. It's now jumped up to plus 250. When you look at the market, at least at the money line, the biggest price is the draw. And these two teams seem to do that all the time. There's nothing really to split these two.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with you this week. I'm defending that 100%. You obviously have the magic touch right now. But listen, 2-2 and 2-2 so far this season, there's nothing to choose between these two teams. There really isn't. Kevin De Bruyne could be out. That's huge, though, for Man City. Maybe Kyle Walker as well, who hurt his ankle, it looked like, in the match against the bloodbath against Atletico Madrid. But yeah, I'm feeling the same thing. I think it's going to be a really tight affair. Another great match, mind you. And this one could well go to penalties. So at plus 250, that's really alluring to me.
Yeah, and people are talking about, well, City are coming off a difficult game against Atleti, and Liverpool looked like more of a preseason friendly. But I will say this, the last time that City came off playing in the midweek against Atletico Madrid was against Liverpool, and they looked pretty good. They probably could have won that game as well. So I wouldn't worry about that. We probably should expect changes from either side, but who knows? Maybe not so much because these teams obviously want to win everything. I also want to touch on quickly, James, the other FA Cup semifinal between Chelsea and Crystal Palace. As much as I want to back Palace, because I've been talking them up so much this season, they're not going to have Conor Gallagher for sure. Chelsea have denied it. They've rejected it. No, Conor Gallagher cannot play. He's one of ours.
It's funny. Thomas Tuchel actually apologized to him as well. And he goes, I know how hard it is for the kid. He's so competitive. It's going to tear him apart not to be involved in this match. It's really unfair. It's a horrible rule. He's been just instrumental to Palace's success this year. And now they're playing in their biggest game of the season by a mile. And he's not involved. It's just brutal. I'm backing Chelsea in this one, though. Yeah, I mean, I love Palace. What a story they've been. But they're still a mid-table team. And Chelsea looked so good this week against Real Madrid. It was an incredible match. Maybe there'll be a bit of a crash. We'll see. But they look so good. And I mentioned in the piece beforehand how Teemo Werner is looking really good. We've been waiting for this guy to click for a couple of years now. It's been a terrible transfer. Let's not kid ourselves. It's been a disaster so far. But he showed that he's got such quickness with the ball at his feet. And his runs are really intelligent. So I like this guy. And I think he might get another shot this week because he's been that good. And certainly in the absence of anything from Romelu Lukaku and Kai Havertz, obviously he's been playing fantastically, but maybe you need another option. Give me some Teemo Werner this weekend for a goal.
Yeah, I like that. I would have backed Palace with Conor Gallagher just because I think they give him the edge, but without him, they're just not the same team. That press doesn't seem to work without him in the side. But let's move to the Premier League and a team that helped us last week. They won once again. They seem to be winning week in and week out, and that's Tottenham. I'm taking them -1, so they got to win by 2 goals, plus 155 against Brighton. James, what do you think here?
Yep, defending that as well. Like I said, Spurs have turned it around. They may be the informed team, maybe in the Premier League. He's got it all figured out right now. And Brighton, we saw them really good last week, in fairness. They played Arsenal, and they look great because they found the goal. The issue is they can't find goals. They've got all the creativity in the world. They're a wonderful team to watch, but in the big games, they don't always come through. Yeah. And I think Spurs, we talk about the front three now, how good they are. Son, Kane, Kulusevski. But at the back, they're playing really well right now as well. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think Spurs will take this one. 3 points are in the bag. Brighton still meandering around in that mid-table. And don't take it out on Graham Potter. He's doing a great job at that club. But I think they've got to invest in that team, essentially, I think, to keep him around next season.
Yeah, they need a striker. It's the same thing every single season. They need a really good striker. Just to back that bet a little bit more, Tottenham 4 wins in a row. They won all of them by at least 2 goals. And at home against Brighton, 6-6 and they've already beaten Brighton twice this season. So I think a Spurs win is almost a formality. With that said, they're probably not going to win. To the next one, James, Norwich, +2. So they start off basically with a 2-goal lead at +110. They're 7 points back. Dean Smith did come out after the last match and say, hey, listen, you never know. If we string together a couple of wins, we might get out. Probably not going to happen, but I don't think that they lose big if they do to Manchester United.
Yeah, 4 points in 2 games for Norwich, coming off that huge win against Burnley, which no one saw coming. And yeah, I think they're a team that's desperate right now. They have to pick up 3 points. It will be unlikely to win this game, but I'm with you. They won't be blown out, I don't think. United are just in turmoil. I'm off, not that I was ever on the bandwagon, so to speak, far from it. But, I mean, they just let me down every week, with their performances. They look like they're beaten, they're done. The new manager, Erik ten Hag, it's not official just yet, but it's going to happen. Maybe even, next week. There's rumors linking about, who's going to stay, who's going to go. Already the steal from that team, McTominay and Fred, they're out this weekend. Varane's out once again. There's injury concerns. Ronaldo's not happy. He's slapping phones out of kids' hands. It's all falling apart. There's going to be a protest this weekend as well by the fans against the ownership group. It's all collapsing right now. And I mean, it's for the outsider who's not a United fan, just sit back and enjoy the theater of it all. But yeah, I think Norwich will put in a performance this weekend. Yeah, and then maybe a draw in this one, which will just pile more pressure on that ownership group at United.
Well, listen, Norwich, they haven't been beaten by 2 or more since February. They lost to 4-0 to Manchester City, which is usually a formality in the Premier League. And they played Liverpool at Anfield and Chelsea in that stretch. So they can go up against these teams and frustrate them. And I think when teams sit back, specifically against Manchester United, they cannot break them down. At least they struggle to break them down. I think Norwich are going to make it very difficult. I have a bit of a trivia for you, James.
Okay.
Norwich seems to be the kiss of death when it comes to managers. They've won just 5 Premier League games this season. 4 of those 5 have resulted in a manager getting sacked, including their own coach. So obviously that's the one I'm going to give away. Daniel Farke, he was sacked, I think, after they beat Brentford. Can you name the other 3?
So Sean Dyche.
Dyche, yes.
Right. I think Espirito Santo.
Nope.
Oh no,
no,
it wasn't. I thought that was Orange. Okay, jeez. I'm trying to think who's been fired. There's been so many firings this season.
There's been so many. Yeah. I'll give you one. Everton.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
No,
it wasn't Solskjaer.
I thought the same thing.
No,
it's Benitez and Claudio Ranieri.
Sorry, go ahead, Rafa. Right.
Rafa and Claudio Ranieri.
And Ranieri. Oh, yeah, I was trying to think Watford. Yeah, I was trying to think who was Is that crazy? I was thinking, who the hell did Hodgson replace at Watford?
Isn't it crazy? I know.
Then there's been 3 managers there this season. Yeah. I couldn't think who was it. So, all right, I failed once again.
But it's okay. Norwich, exactly, the kiss of death. Let's move on to. I have a parlay here. Goal scorers parlay. This is a bit of a stretch, but I think it'd be fun to throw something together. I always like putting together these random parlays. So I'm going with a goal scorer parlay in the Premier League at +1683, starting with Harry Kane +105. He just seems to bang in goals week in and week out against Brighton. James Maddison to score +255 against Newcastle, and Ivan Toney James to score against Watford. He's scoring week in and week out at the moment.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. Kane hasn't scored in a couple of games, despite Spurs, scoring for fun. He hasn't actually found the scoreboard. He's been playing incredibly. He's due. So Kane's going to score this week, and done deal. I'm Ivan Toney as well. You're Brentford, your boys there, Albert. I'm going to back them every time now because you've taught me the lesson. So yeah, Ivan Toney is going to just jump all over the Christian Eriksen bandwagon there. And James Maddison at Leicester, he's playing great football again. It's too bad that there's so much depth in that position for England at the World Cup because I'm not sure I'll make the squad. But man, he's fun to watch. So he's the one outlier that might be more of a gamble. But the way he's playing right now, I'm going for that. I'm just backing you. Whatever you say, Albert, I'm going with.
One thing I will say, if anyone is backing this goal score parlay, make sure you check out the starting 11s at least, just so you can see who's involved. Harry Kane, just to give you some stats here, 5-5 against in his last 5 against Brighton, 8-11 all time. James Maddison, he's got 5 in his last 10. Seems to like scoring against Newcastle as well, 4-7. There seems to be always goals in that fixture, 4-0, 4-2, 2-1, 3-0, 5-0. So I'm hoping Maddison can get on the score sheet there. And Toney, like I said, 9-10, and the majority of his goals have come against the bottom half. So with all that said, hopefully it hits. It'd be a fantastic weekend if it did.
Yep, it should be a great one, actually. You're coming down to the stretch run, guys. Last 7 or 8 games. I think we've seen the last manager fired, and don't get me started on Sean Dyche again. I mean, you must feel a bit. It's odd, isn't it, that they'd fire him now, given what he's done in previous years.
They still have a chance to get out of the the bottom 3. It's not like Everton are world beaters at the moment. Yes, they beat United, but you would think if there was one person who can take a team out of that bottom 3, it'd be Sean Dyche, and the players seem to love him as well. I mean, I'm not sure what quite happened there. Maybe it was Dyche who went there and said, "Listen, hey, this is not working out." We don't know. I highly doubt that, but it's a big loss for Burnley. They're bringing a new manager now.
He's not a quitter. I don't see that.
I don't see now.
Either, no. Not with the team still, on the cusp of survive. I don't see him pulling the shoot there. And from the comments from the club, it seems that they were just concerned about the season. And I get it. If you want to let the guy go in the off season, I understand that, because maybe it's time for a change. It has been 10 years, but he's dug you out of this hole so many times. Why would he do it now?
You mentioned some names there. I mean, outside of Big Sam, I don't know who you bring in to take them out of that position.
Come on, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Did you watch Cardiff when they were in a similar position? Disaster.
Yeah.
Sam's the only choice for me. I don't know if he wants a job. I mean, the team does not invest money, right? So you bring him in for the parachute him basically into the league on a short-term contract, because I don't think he sticks around next season. He needs a bit of money as well.
I would think so.
But it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. I kind of hope they go down now, because they've made a really bad choice, a bad decision. And if they go down, I don't see him come back up again for a while.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I'm trying to think who else is out there. I mean, we talked about Alan Pardew last week. There's one guy, Neil Warnock.
I know he was there too. I know.
Yeah, Warnock just retired.
There's names in the Championship, right? Who would probably jump to Burnley. I mean, opportunity in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I can see that, guys that we don't even know of just yet. But I mean, you'd hope they've got a guy in place. I know Ben Mee, the defender's taking on a coaching role for this game with the staff, because all of Dyche's staff was canned as well.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe player manager time. Hey,
you know what it is, James? It's not an appealing job either. If you're not going to get backed, there's no money there. I think over the last 5 seasons,
what about Rooney?
They're in the negative at like 30 million.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Rooney's leaving Derby, right? I know they've been bought, or they're going to be bought in this really dodgy deal, it sounds like. Steve Kirchner, an American, not quite sure where his money comes from. No one does. It's all crypto, apparently. And now he's going to buy the club. Dangerous. So if Rooney leaves Derby, he'll be on a lot of teams' radars for the job he's done there. Maybe Burnley's a step up. Maybe he's waiting for a bigger club. I don't know. When Everton fire Lampard, they can bring Rooney in. There you go.
I can totally see that happening. Speaking of Burnley, they do play West Ham this weekend. Very difficult. I mean, if you're going there without Sean Dyche as your manager, I know you might get that new manager bounce with the caretaker, but highly unlikely. So I would back West Ham if you're looking for another pick this weekend. But that's it for Fast Money Football. Make sure you follow James at James Sharman on Twitter. You can follow me at TheRealBertV. And please head over to parlay.tv for more parlay content. Good luck this weekend, guys.